This beautiful old tapestry painting was impressive, but no one was prepared for what the monks brought out next.
The monks said that they had implements with them from Solomon's temple. I said, why would you still have these implements from Solomon's temple? Wouldn't they have gone to Axum with the Ark of the Covenant?
And they said to me, we were Jews at that time. Later, our community became Christians. Finally, the first Christian king of Ethiopia, he came with his army from Axum to our island, and he stole the Ark of the Covenant from us, and he took it to Axum and he put it there.
So they did not need these items to be taken with them to Axum. They were actually abandoned and left with the monks on Tanakirkos. Okay, the monks have brought this bronze, very corroded bowl out. They call this a gomer. They say that they put blood in this during the blood sacrifices, and that someone would stir it to keep the blood from coagulating. It was used in the blood sacrificial services. They tell me that this bowl came from Solomon's temple. If that's true, this would be the only known implement from Solomon's temple to exist in the world today that can be verifiable.
The monks brought out a pair of ancient meat forks and said they came from Solomon's temple with the ark. The monks explained that these meat forks were used to put large pieces of meat on the fire in the burnt offering sacrifice. Each fork was topped with the budding almond symbol, one Bob had seen at other sites in Ethiopia.
And this stand is extremely old, very, very heavy. This gomer fits on the top of this stand like this. You can see it's bent from time and wear and just sheer fatigue. But they claim when they became Christian that they did not need these implements any longer because they were involving the blood sacrifice. So with Jesus Christ offering the blood of sacrifice, these were no longer needed in their ceremonies. So they were left with the monks. Where did they get them? They had virtually no metal on the island and no ability to manufacture these items, and plus the items were extremely old in antiquity. So where did these implements come from? These monks said that I was the first one to be shown these implements, because if these ever proved to be articles that were from Solomon's temple, these photographs will be the only ones in existence to date. And I felt it was an extreme honor to be a part of this. Every year I come here, they bring out a little bit more, and so maybe today we'll get to see another little bit of their treasury. This is called a gomer.
Gomer.
And it's made out of bronze. And it does fit with the description of an artifact from the Bible and even the temple. They claim it's from Solomon's temple. This gomer was placed on
Bob tells me they placed the gomer on a stand and used it to collect the blood from a slaughtered animal. But what's remarkable about this is that the Israelites stopped practicing animal sacrifice almost 2,000 years ago.
It's hard to put into words. It's a tangible link.
Where would they have
the Temple of
gotten
Solomon,
this?
the Jewish people.
Of course, this is quite old. You can see.
But that's just the beginning. This is a treasure trove of religious relics, and each one seems to take us closer to the true story of the Ark.
Moses is holding the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments on this. They're pulling all kinds of stuff.
The monk is now bringing out a couple of pretty interesting objects. They call them meat forks. People were a lot smaller in ancient times, but this is very old, and I think it could possibly have some kind of connection with priestly garments in the sacrifices of the animals by the Levitical priests.
Well, the only, from what I know of ancient Judaism, the only person who wore the breastplate was the high priest. But he would have had a plate on the front of this that had the stones of the 12 tribes of Israel.
The high priest who wore this was considered the sole guardian of the Ark. Was he the man buried in the rocks on the island? Was he the one said to have brought the Ark here?
So if this is here, I mean, all the other stuff says a lot, but if this is here, then it almost requires that the high priest was here. That's compelling.
These items were used in Jewish ceremonies. So did Judaism survive here, after the Levite priests were gone.
What did he say?
Did their religion take hold in Ethiopia?
It's Old Testament.
Really?
This whole area was Jewish, and they called themselves.
The monks claimed that they possessed more than just the Ark of the Covenant. With the Ark came other implements for worship from Solomon's temple. The monks agreed to show these items and remove them from the temple treasury. This crown was said to be worn by the chief musician, one of 3 musicians who traveled in procession with the Ark.
And then these monks entered the temple treasury, and they brought out these hammered silver trumpets, very long trumpets and very ancient trumpets. And we see that in Scripture that it says in Numbers 10, verse 1, the Lord said to Moses, "Make 2 trumpets of hammered silver and use them for calling the community together and for having the camp set out."
These discoveries seem remarkable. But were these trumpets really relics from Old Testament times? Could they be identified as trumpets from Solomon's temple in ancient Israel? An important clue sits nearly 3,000 miles away in Rome, an arch dedicated to the Roman Emperor Titus. In this parade of victory, trumpets are seen, and they are clearly from ancient Israel.
When Titus sacked Jerusalem, he brought these trumpets back and paraded them through the streets of Rome. And a contemporary, an eyewitness that actually saw the trumpets, chiseled these trumpets on the archway in Rome at the Ark of Titus. And these trumpets seem to match perfectly with the trumpets that were brought from the treasury at St. Mary's of Zion.
Let's suppose that there is some firm independent corroboration that the Ark of the Covenant is actually in Ethiopia. What the effects of such a